Hello manifestors, let's answer a subscriber's questions today, and I'm sure that the answers to those questions is going to help many of you. I'm sure many of you have the same type questions. Also, just want to remind you I'm running a workshop right now on my VIP membership Facebook group, Understanding the Law of Assumption 101. And by the way, this workshop is pretty popular in the group. I've got a couple of feedback saying that the exercise are very helpful, that the workshop is very helpful because it's going to help you not only to understand the law, number one, right? Many people still in this community don't understand the law, and obviously apply it, because if you just understand it but never apply it, it doesn't help much, does it? So please guys, if you are new here, subscribe to my channel, like the video, comment, share, so more people like you can become master manifestors. So let's read this subscriber's comment. Hi Sylviane, I've watched a few of your videos and read a number of your blog posts. I'd say I've gained a better understanding of the law of assumption thanks to you. However, there are still some unanswered questions that prevent me from fully utilizing it. So question number one. Whenever I manifest something, I always have this feeling of what if this doesn't work after all in the back of my mind, which causes me to make a backup plan, be double-minded in case my manifestation doesn't appear in the 3D in time, especially when I'm on a time crunch. For example, I manifest a class getting cancelled the next day, but still prepare materials for that class in case it still takes place. How do I successfully get rid of this thinking and start believing in myself? What are some active steps I could take? So first of all, this is a problem of lack of faith. You understand from your rational, logical mind that there is a law, and that if you imagine something, if you assume something, it's supposed to appear in your 3D reality. But you don't have full faith that it is so, or you don't have full faith that you, as a person, can actually do this. You may think that some other people may be able to do this, but you are not. So like you said, especially on the time crunch, you feel like, well, this may be working if it was 3 weeks from now because I'll have time to imagine it and blah, blah, blah. So it might manifest. But if I need it for tomorrow, then it's impossible because it's too soon. Well, first of all, you need to understand we are only under the illusion of a linear time. In this situation, you have the assumption, it's deep down in the background of your mind, but this comes from the assumption that if there is a time crunch, meaning you need that thing tomorrow, you don't have the time to manifest it. So that shows that you are really thinking from your rational mind, from your small separate self that believes in separation and in time, in linear time. As the God of your reality, what you can manifest in 3 weeks or in 3 years or right now, it's the same thing. It doesn't matter that you have a time crunch. Time crunch doesn't matter, because when you manifest something, you manifest it now. You don't manifest it in time or in time space. When you manifest a desire, it is now. I will never forget, and that thing did serve me as a coach for sure. So many times. When I manifested my specific person, I know the exact moment I manifested him. I manifested him in the moment. It was done in that moment. I never visualized, I never affirmed, I never reaffirmed. It was done in that moment. The only reason it took some so-called time for him to appear is that the 3D needed to rearrange itself in order for this 3D that's very slow to materialize. But it was manifested now, in the now. Because guess what, guys? In case you don't know that yet, there is no other moment than now. In the case of having a class cancelled, that doesn't require much movement in the 3D. So you can very much get that materialized, that imagination, that desire, that assumption be materialized in your 3D the next day. Let me give you another example of mine. One day, I was in a car and I started, for some reason, because I was in a very dark place anyway, started panicking. Oh my God, if I had an accident right now. Because I was in a rental car because my car had been wrecked already by my boyfriend. And I started panicking at a red light. Oh my God, if I had an accident with that car. Well, there was not much arranging to do in the 3D, right? I was already in a car and I had that strong imaginal act that I could have an accident with that car. Well, it took only 2 minutes. 2 minutes later, I manifested the car out of nowhere. Out of nowhere. The car wasn't even there. I manifested a white car bumping into me 2 minutes later. So again, that time-space thing, it's a rational mind thing. Because as long as you imagine it, feel it, believe it, the 3D is going to shape itself according to how much you believe in your imagination. That's all. When you manifest something on a time crunch, as you're saying, you have to trust that you are God of your reality. Therefore, your God self knows that you don't need this in 3 weeks or in 3 months. You need it now, right? You need it tomorrow in the linear 3D time. Therefore, since it's very easy to manipulate the 3D for that little thing, you will get it when you need it. Now, if it's faith that you are lacking, because obviously that's the problem here, you are lacking faith that you can get what you want now. Test it. Test manifesting on a time crunch little things. And once you've done that over and over, you won't doubt your power anymore. So when you need to manifest a little thing like a class canceled or anything like that, something that you actually need, you will have practiced, tested the law so many times before that you won't have that lack of faith that's going to prevent you from getting your desire fast. Question number 2. I am aware that persistence is key and that my desires will eventually harden into fact in the 3D. But when exactly will that be? I know my creation is already done in my imagination, and since this is my reality, I should be able to make it appear in the 3D whenever I want. However, how exactly do I do that? Very interesting question. And guess what? We are going to take Neville's word for it. Look what he says. The Bible gives it as 3 days. The duration is 3 days for response in this world. If I would now assume I am what I want to be, and if I am faithful to it and walk as though I were, the very longest stretch given for its realization is 3 days. If you remain in the state you are told in the Bible, 3 days, you will be spewed out on dry land. 3 doesn't mean 3 days. 3 means fullness. 3 means complete. So if I will live within that fish state for 3 days until the whole thing seems natural and seems real, and it has the sensory vividness of reality, I will then be spewed out as something objective and something that is commonly called in the Bible land of dry land. So, for those who don't know, the Bible is not a religious book. It's a textbook of the law. And numbers in the Bible are never literal. Well, nothing is literal in the Bible, but when numbers are mentioned in the Bible, they are not literal numbers. So when it says 3 days, it's not literal 3 days. When it says 7 days, it's not 7 literal days. 3 is just the number that means completeness. And interestingly, if you compare this with Nikola Tesla, for example, who said that the numbers 369, it's a divine combination of infiniteness, completeness as well. So that's what those numbers mean. They don't mean anything literal. So what Neville is saying here, that 3, first of all, again, doesn't mean literal 3 days, but it means that you fully and completely feel it real. Once you are in that state, that you fully and completely feel it real, it's going to be upon you. That's how I manifested my car accident many years ago. I remember I fully and completely felt it real. Boom. It happened instantly because I was already in a car. So let's say you want to manifest something that's going to take some linear 3D time to rearrange itself. Well, let it be. It's going to do its thing. But it will always manifest as soon as the 3D has objectified it. Alright? So the only question you need to ask yourself, how long it's going to take for my manifestation to take place, is how long you are going to take to feel it real. That's it. Why do I always tell you guys to reverse engineer your life? Because that's what I've done, and that's what gave me faith in the law. I remember every single thing, big and small, that I manifested, good or bad. I manifested them very quickly the moment I felt it. And that's how I know that the law works. Guys, if you do what I'm telling you, I promise you, not only you will manifest much faster, much easier, but it will give you more faith. And with more faith, you manifest faster and easier. There's no doubt about it. The third question I ask, it says number 2 here, but I think it's just a typo. I have a fairly okay understanding of states, and I can identify when I'm not in the state of having my desire by asking myself if I would, for example, think or act like this if I did have my desire. How do I go about actually entering my desired state and staying there? So, practicing the law is not a magic pill. And the law, like anything else, practice makes perfect, right? For example, imagination, if you feel that you are not good at imagining, well, the only remedy to this is to practice. Imagination is a muscle. The more you practice imagination, the better you get at it. Plus, the more you practice imagination, the more likely you are going to experience spiritual experiences, okay? But if you do not practice imagination, you let it be as it has always been, well, it's going to be as it has always been. So, when it comes to states, it's also a practice. And by the way, when Neville talked about persistence, that's what he meant. Persistence is every time you get out of your state, you go back in. Every time you get out of your state, you go back in. That's persistence. So the best way to get into your state is by asking yourself questions such as, how would I feel? How would I act? How would I react? How would I hold myself if I was ... my desired state? When you get out of your state, ask yourself questions such as, would someone in the state that I want to be in feel like this? No. Would they react like that? Would they say this? Would they think this way? If the answer is no, you correct yourself. So you ask yourself the question again, well, how would I feel right now if I was in my state? How would I react right now if I was in my state? What question would I not ask if I was in my state? What type of reaction would I not have if I was in my state? And by doing this type of exercise every day, every time you feel that you have stepped out of your state, asking yourself this type of questions to embody the state again, to persist in going back into the state. By doing this every day, you are going to get better and better at dwelling in the state of your wish fulfilled. But again, it's not a magic pill. You are going to get better at it as you practice it. And as your understanding of the law improves and as your faith improves, this also is going to help you dwell easier and longer in your state. So guys, I hope that answering those 3 questions from that subscribers helped you as well. I'm sure that many of you had those questions. And by the way, you might want to read my last blog article, which was not written by me, by the way, but by a professional writer who is also a conscious manifester, which is very appropriate for the theme of this video, how to have faith in your desires when there is zero 3D evidence. I will pin the link to this great article in the first comment under this video. As for the other links, they are down below in the description box. If you are new here, please subscribe, like the video, comment, share, and thank you for watching. And I'll see you next time. Bye-bye for now.